Hey guys, we are back with a episode of the Spinoff Show. Why am I talking so slow? I don't know. But we're back. The Spinoff Show has been on a little bit of a break, but brought back the show for a very, very awesome, cool guest, recommended to me by a friend of mine, Cheryl DeGuzman, who's also been on the Spinoff Show. This show features Rebeca Montaner, who is the owner of a successful marketing agency called 7 Digital, and she's also a digital business coach, helping all businesses go digital. We had a great conversation about growing your business, especially in a time like this when people are at home and they're not sure of what to do because of the pandemic. We felt like this was kind of a really good opportunity for people to jump in, try to invest in themselves, invest in maybe that business idea or that business they currently have, get it going, get it improved, get it ready so that hopefully when this pandemic passes, that business is ready to go, ready and willing, all cylinders firing right away, all that jazz, anything that you can think of, any sort of analogy. That's what we're trying to talk about. And she's a really interesting person. First time I've ever really talked to her, but we were able to have some really good conversation about her background, why she's been successful. Hopefully you guys enjoy the return of the Spinoff Show with this special guest, Rebeca Montaner. This is the Jock Spinoff Show. Rebeca, what's up? How's it going down? You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I am.
And how's Atlanta right now? How's quarantine life in Atlanta?
Well, it's interesting for me because for me, it hasn't changed much. Since I work from home and my husband works in a hospital, like our routine hasn't really changed practically at all, except for obviously the weekends. So now definitely like it is a little bit kind of bothering me a little bit more just because I used to have a little bit of that balance on the weekends of just seeing other humans, that little thing. But yeah, it's getting to me now.
I mean, 2 questions right off the bat. Number one, your husband's in the medical field. Is he dealing with any corona stuff as in direct contact or?
No, definitely. So he's an anesthetist. So
I'm too stupid. What is that?
Exactly. I was going to explain because actually that's not something that's very common. So basically he's the assistant of the anesthesiologist.
Oh, gotcha. Right? Okay.
So on one end, he was lucky at the beginning, quote unquote, because what most hospitals have done is they actually have postponed any operation that obviously wasn't an emergency because obviously they don't want the other patients to get infected, you know? Right. So he was kind of not really working that much. But now it's starting to hit where it's basically all hands are on deck. It's kind of like it's starting to get real in the sense of like they have daily phone calls because nobody really knows what tomorrow will bring. And you can sort of hear everybody like, okay, so what do we do if this happens? What do we do if that happens? And right now he's doing airways, which I have no clue what it is, honestly, also.
Respiratory stuff, probably.
Obviously, but like exactly like what I don't know. But so that's kind of like what they're having them do so that they can help alleviate a little bit the nurses and everybody else. They are having them sometimes like just doing phone calls. Like, you know, like they don't really know, like they're trying to just sort of like balance it out a little more. So it's really, yeah, like he's just, every day is different. Like today he walked in, he actually got out earlier, but yesterday he was there until 11, you know? So we never know.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The second thing is in Atlanta, I know, so I'm in Illinois, and I think we just got over 15,000 cases. How's it down in Atlanta? Is it pretty rough, or what are you hearing?
Well, to be honest, I have shut myself off of any news because, I hear it kind of firsthand from my husband, like the reality of it, and I feel like, I don't know how you feel, but like whenever I turn on the TV and I just get a little bit of the news, I just kind of feel like it's not really helpful. It just makes me worry way more, and I can't really do much about it except for kind of like what I'm doing now is the only thing I can think I could do. So I have purposely, I know this is gonna pass. So I tend to worry, I just have that personality where it's kind of like I hear something and it's kind of like, oh my God, the apocalypse, sort of like my brain goes to the extreme of like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that? So I decided to just kind of like.
It's probably best then that you don't watch the news or turn it on, because that kind of mindset, the news is just inundated with this stuff. So I don't want to look at it every day, all day, but I like to at least look at it enough to know kind of what's going on, what's the status. But I could definitely see if your mind tends to go to the worst case scenario, then this probably better off to keep busy with some other things until
my biggest thing is because my husband is in it,
Yeah, that too.
So it's not like, oh, okay, that's good to know. Like I just kind of. Okay. And also my husband is sort of like the yin and the yang. Like he kind of, and I think it works out very well for me, but he downplays a lot of it. So what happens is I hear something, I ask him, and he's kind of like, oh, but I'm fine. Like it's okay. So I worry about him. It's not something like kind of like I worry about the situation. It's kind of like more, it hits a little closer to home. And I can't do much on that. So I just feel like, well, let me just, ignorance is bliss on this situation.
Absolutely. Well, here's another question though that popped up before we kind of get into how you're getting on the, so first off, by the way, you're like my first guest in a long time on the Spinoff Show, so you must be really awesome. Or we'll find out, right?
Yeah, let's see.
But before we get into like how we got connected, the other question that just came to mind is I noticed you have like kind of like a Latin accent, Latin American. Are you? Did you grow up in America? Did you immigrate over here? Where are you from?
No, so I'm from Venezuela.
Okay.
Very proud of it, actually. It's part of the reason why I started my business. But, I was born there. And when I was 10, I moved to South Florida to a city called Weston, which most people know it as Westonzuela because it's like where all the Venezuelans are. So I feel like I moved to the USA, like officially when I started college,
Okay.
Because yes, I was in the US, but like everybody, South Florida, like
right.
Everybody spoke Spanish. I didn't miss any food or any music or anything. Like it was all very kind of like Venezuela, just clean and safe.
I mean, I've been to Miami twice, so South Florida, and to me, when you go down, when I've been to Miami, including the Super Bowl, cheap plug, I was at the Super Bowl this past year, but
nice.
Yeah, but what I was saying is whenever I've been to Miami, I'm like, this is just another world within America. Like the amount of people from Latin America here is just insane, or the Caribbean, or even like parts of Europe. I'm just like, no one is speaking English, and this is kind of awesome. But it's just there's nothing like Miami or South Florida in comparison to the rest of the United States.
It's funny because I had an American boyfriend. And I took him down to Weston. And again, Weston isn't Miami. Weston is like 30 minutes north of Miami. So there's a little bit, like I thought, like at least in Publix, you would have to speak English, like I thought,
Right.
So I sent him to buy some like cheese and ham, and he came back and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh my God, we were in college. So I'm kind of like, I mean, it's not that hard. It's just 1 pound and it's this type of cheese and whatever. And the poor guy, he's just like, nobody speaks English, And I'm like, wow, I'm sorry. So I went with him and I translated, but it was so bizarre. Because for me, it's little things that you just don't notice until I guess there's no other option but to speak English,
Right.
For me, if I see that it was someone Hispanic, I would speak Spanish. If I saw that it was someone in English, I would speak English. And I just assume, because this is in some sort of like bodega or some sort of like corner little, this is Publix. This isn't,
Right.
So yeah, things like that happen down there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, literally, I remember just walking around and just hearing so much Spanish and just seeing like the amount of sun-kissed people. I was like, this is amazing. This is another world. This is unbelievable.
But hey, so did you enjoy the show, the halftime show?
It's a fantastic show.
Oh my God. I
Shakira and J-Lo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So good.
They made me proud, let me tell you.
Where's Shakira from?
Well, she's Colombian.
Colombian. Okay, yeah, right next to Venezuela.
Yeah, my husband is from Colombia. But whatever, they're both Hispanic. So when I moved here, actually, so that's a little bit of so when I moved here, it was sort of before J-Lo, when everybody was sort of like, I don't know, like, do these jeans make my butt look big sort of situation? And I never understood that, because coming from the Hispanic culture, having like curves is a plus,
Okay.
So I just,
right.
I was like, why do people wanna, like, I don't get it. And then J-Lo happened, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, back to kind of normal. But I saw that shift of like wanting to be skinny everybody, like everybody. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, now it's cool to have curves again, And it was all J-Lo.
I remember I'm 32 years old. I remember at a time when people wanted to be skinny and like girls were having a lot of like eating disorders and body disorders due to being just wanting to be skinny. And I remember like the days when like people were, didn't think big butts were a thing.
Yeah.
And now like literally every girl wants to have like a big butt and like be curvy. Like it's changed so much.
It is
for the better, in my opinion. But
I think so.
I'm selfish.
Yeah, for me it works because like I have just the Hispanic body.
Sure.
So, and the main thing for me is that before it used to be so hard to just find clothes here,
right.
that would fit. But now it's a little bit more.
It's a little easier.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get into how we got connected. So, Cheryl de Guzman, who's been on, I think she was on my like second or third episode of the spinoff show, and I've known her for, over 10 years now. She's a CrossFit, nutrition, personal fitness coach, and
she's amazing.
Go ahead.
She's amazing. We have a virtual mastermind. It's 3 of us that we met in Vegas. We were there for a business conference, and yeah, I mean, she's just super driven and just super awesome.
Yeah, she's all right. She's whatever. But she was texting me and was like, "Hey, are you still doing your spinoff show?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do it if I have a good guest in mind or whatever." And she's like, "Here, check out Rebeca. She's awesome, whatever." So I started texting you, and we started having a little bit of a conversation. And you're the owner of a successful marketing agency. Kind of get into just what you do as for a living and what's keeping you busy during this COVID-19.
Yeah. So I started a social media marketing agency that obviously does like all the other digital marketing stuff, like websites and everything else, but our focus is social media. And then when all of this happened, since from the beginning, my team has been virtual, I just felt like I saw on my social media, like a lot of people just a little bit panicking, like, what do we do? now that we are not all in the office, now that some of them sadly like were laid off, like there was a lot of panic, you know? And I don't know, I have been kind of like, I guess, lucky enough that my parents raised me with like the Tony Robbins and all this sort of stuff. So I always try to put some sort of positive spin on everything, or try
just for what it's worth, I didn't, as a kid or even as a teenager, I didn't know who the hell Tony Robbins is. So you have some pretty good parents there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I walked through fire and everything, like in one of their, like his kind of signature release the power within events. And I was like, what, 13 or something?
Wait.
You know?
Are you saying literally or like
literally,
actually?
Literally. So I have walked through glass and walked through fire.
What was the first thing you said?
I walked through glass.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Are you crazy?
No, and it's just, well, that's what I mean. Like that's kind of been sort of my normal, I guess, growing up, with all these like, so just kind of like self, improvement things and whatever. So yeah, it maybe in college is when I realized that I guess that is not normal.
No, walking through fire and glass, especially. Oh my God, that's not normal.
No, but it teaches you. So both of those, the main lesson there is that you need to really, to be successful at anything you do, you need to know where you're going, first of all, right? And you need to just keep your eye on the end of whatever you want to go to, right? You never look down. You never sort of walk slowly or even run, you know, because that's how you get cut or burned, you know, and that's such a good metaphor for especially for business in my end that has helped me so much, because first of all, you do need to know where you're going, because otherwise you might end up cut, because like if you step away from the path, there's obviously like this is a physics thing, but like there's different levels and then you get cut, you know, so you have to go through the same kind of like the middle. That's how you're safest
in the glass. Did you cut your feet?
I did a little bit, and that's something else that I think is a good metaphor on both. I did get burned a little bit, and I did get cut a little bit. Some people got cut really bad, and
where are they doing this? By the way,
so okay, this is kind of a little bit random. So the glass one was done. I did a realtor's course.
Okay.
And the guy was a mentor or mentee of Tony Robbins, and so that's why he did the glass one. I have no.
Do you sign a waiver before you walk on the glass?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's part of it. So he kind of he's freaked me out. I mean, again, I'm like at that point. So for that one, I was 18 for the realtor one. Okay. But he goes on and on about how kind of damaging your foot is the worst sort of injury that you could have, because obviously you won't be able to move, you know, you need your foot to walk anywhere, do anything, you know?
Right. There's no healing if you continue to just walk on your foot.
You're basically bedridden, and it could get infected. He just kind of went on and on about all the possible bad things that could happen. Right.
Right.
And then at the end he was just, okay, so who wants to do it? You know? And the main thing there also is that anything worth kind of going after, the majority of the people, sadly, will try to feed fear on you, you know, because they're afraid themselves, you know? So it's sort of like that, it shows you okay, you need to do it despite all of that. And sadly, they're truths. They're not made up things, you know? They're things that could happen, you know? But if you're afraid, that's when you get cut. You need to just kind of keep a steady pace and go for it, and trust yourself and trust that you're going to be fine, and know that even if you cut yourself a little bit, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it. You're going to survive, you know? So yeah, that definitely was two interesting experiences. But
that's an interesting way to teach a lesson.
Yeah, again, my parents were kind of like that. So they just like doing that, and they always would just invite me.
They like walking through fire.
Yeah, like just like normal people. So they would just invite me, and I was always very curious. Like I would always sort of be like, actually, this is another one. Like this might not be. So when I was little, there was this guy that was actually, a group of guys that were building a pool back in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And I guess because my parents would allow me to ask whatever many questions and they would actually answer, I also thought that was normal with grown-ups. So I just kept asking them, like, why are you mixing this? Why are you doing that? And why are you putting that together? Why are you waiting, oh my God. So then these guys just literally, picked me up, and just kind of brought me to my parents, and they were like, do not let her out. They were just so tired of me asking everything. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to know how everything worked and how everything. So whatever they did, I kind of tagged along,
So the walking through the glass, the fire, it all relates back to kind of your mindset in terms of business and online marketing and digital marketing. That's correct?
Yeah. So mainly now with this current situation, I feel like with everybody panicking and everybody kind of, I get it. Their worlds are kind of sort of completely changed,
Right.
So the best thing to do is to know this is temporary. We obviously don't know how long this will be, but I think that our reaction, to it and how proactive we are will either shorten it, at least the economic crisis part, or sadly, again, if we put too much energy in the, oh my God, what am I going to do? Instead of just doing, something, being productive, shifting, pivoting, reinventing, starting your business, doing whatever is the next thing. That could actually, if you don't do that, that could actually make the crisis longer than it should be. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I have pivoted with my agency, to basically focus on coaching and giving people kind of roadmaps of, okay, so this is where you are, these are your talents, this is where your dream job would be, or dream kind of destination, and basically just kind of put one foot in front of the other, and hopefully you won't cut yourself, hopefully you won't burn, but just keep your eye on the ball and just sort of keep at it and have a game plan,
Mm-hmm. And what kind of people are you helping? Are you helping people with their online business, and what kind of businesses?
Yes. So either people that already have a business and sadly their business, for example, one of my clients, she is a graphic designer. So you would think, okay, so that's very digital and that's fine. But her clientele or her niche was the wine and spirits. So obviously people are not partying or not going out as much. So her clientele and her work has kind of basically stopped, at least for now. So I'm helping her reinvent herself so that she can actually, she's going to be sort of teaching how to do different things, digitally. And the other one is she's actually going to branch out her current brand to do things that are not as physically related, so that, and the main thing is that even after this whole thing happens, then basically her business is going to be way stronger,
Right.
way more diversified and everything. So I do the actual already set businesses, or I'm helping this other person that that they want to make a difference, and they were actually laid off recently, and he has always wanted to sort of be a motivational speaker in a way, but he was going to start by writing a book, and I was like, whoa, that comes way later, So
yeah, who's buying a book of someone that no one knows?
Yeah, so that's another thing that I help do. I basically, so first of all, let's figure out why you want to do it, because that's something else that is crucial for a lot of the entrepreneurs, that sadly they skip that part. And then they end up, let's say, very successful in something that they hate, So I start there, and then we figure out the niche. Like in his case, he actually would like to help the gay community, to sort of accept themselves and be also like to make amends with maybe family members. And I thought that was beautiful. And so I'm helping him come up with some sort of actual program, that he could actually do, and then do the social media, and then do the book,
Right.
But at least with that, they will be hopefully more successful sooner, and they'll be able to survive this wave. And then again, after it, they'll be way set for success, instead of just sort of wasting this time
doing nothing and just riding the wave. And then, that's the thing, is there's a lot of, small businesses, people, there's the big corporations that'll probably be fine, and come out of this and be okay. But there's a lot of those mid-level, small business, independent businesses that, don't really know what they should be doing. This is unprecedented. So it's not like anyone's got the book on how to grow your business during a pandemic. But I think a lot of people are kind of just sitting around trying to figure it out. And this is a good time to kind of like get your ducks in a row, because you probably do have a ton of time, so that when this kind of all bounces back, hopefully soon, you're ready to go and your business is ready and firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and the biggest thing there is that when you're in it, it is super hard to maybe see, like it's kind of like asking the fish, how does water look,
Right.
So a lot of it also is kind of like coming from the outside. I am able to see either skills or talents that this happens a lot, with men and women, but sadly with women a little more, where they just never realize, oh, really? Like this is a skill, or this is they just have been doing it so much that they just think, this isn't that special.
What kind of skills?
Well, again, so with the graphic designer, she was a little bit kind of like, oh, I would like to do some speeches, but for example, like I need the proper education for it and training for it and all sorts of stuff. And she's Hispanic, so she has a very thick accent, and I'm like, don't worry about it, like I can understand you fine, in English. We always we would also speak Spanish, but like I could understand you fine. And actually, there's a lot of people, actually, the majority, of speakers that don't have a diploma, on that. Like it's just a matter of just going and practicing and doing it. And for me, like actually, this was super hard for me at the beginning, because I was a little bit camera shy in a way. Because like I'm fine with real people, But if you
Those fake people, though.
it seriously, like, no, but hear me out. So whenever I would do a video, like, which is just me and the phone, I just would think that was, like, I just felt so ridiculous, you know? Because I'm talking to a thing, you know?
It is different. It is different. I've been on camera more than a few times, and it is, you would think it'd be easier because you're not talking to a real person, but for whatever reason, that camera being on you makes you, for whatever reason, more shy, more just like unnatural. You don't feel like yourself in front of a camera. I've felt that before.
No, and so I had to work on it, you know, and
Absolutely.
What I told her is just kind of do the Instagram stories and know that at least the first 100, you know, if you don't suck, you're not doing it right, you know, like it's fine. So, and those will go away, you know, nobody will see them ever again unless you want to save them for whatever reason. So that's basically what we're working, with her on, but like, yeah, it's just sort of, there's a lot of limiting beliefs out there that is like, oh, if only I could, you know, or if only I had, or if only, that sometimes when you have someone from the outside that tells you, no, you're good enough, you know, it's fine.
Right.
Just start. That's kind of it's kind of like personal training. We were talking about this with Cheryl yesterday. So most people obviously know how to lose weight, you know, like it's not,
they know the basics. You got to burn more calories than you take in, and you know, that's the basic thing.
Yeah. And I have, like, for example, I have dumbbells right here, and I have like just the basic stuff that I could do to exercise and whatever. But the biggest thing is that when you have a personal trainer, they actually ask you, so what is your goal? So they actually map out, you know, the right type of workout, you know, they give you the right type of, you know, like kind of healthy food. Because sometimes you might be eating healthy food like salad, and actually it's the worst thing for you. It's bad.
Absolutely,
you know?
Yeah. That's the first big step, is setting a goal.
Yeah.
But then once you set that goal, you know, without some help, unless you're just incredibly self-motivated and detail-oriented and have, you know, amazing qualities. A lot of people have a goal, but then you don't know how to get to that end point. So you're just kind of meandering around.
And it's a little sad, but it's human nature, and I include myself. When you have someone else waiting for your result, you know, for your, like, okay, so what is your niche? What is your whatever? And I kind of follow up, because I do follow up with them on the regular. Then you actually do it. Like, you know, like if you know you have a personal trainer waiting for you that is going to be like, hey, where are you? If you don't show up to the gym, you're going to go, you know?
It's weird. Like, I don't know if it's just human nature, but it's so much easier to let yourself down than it is someone else. Like, like if it's just you, I guess maybe intuitively you're just like, well, only I'm going to know about it. So if I know that I let myself down, then no one will know because I just won't tell anybody. But if it's someone else that is kind of watching you and kind of holding you accountable, it definitely feels much worse until you can get to a point with yourself where it feels just as bad letting yourself down.
Yeah. And that's just the reality of it. And even just to guide you, because like, you know, like, being a business owner, like you mentioned before, it doesn't come with a manual. It doesn't come with anything. And this is something else that I have encountered with my clients. Sometimes they get too into the planning, you know? And so they just kind of like, oh, first I need to take this class and this other class and whatever, and this and that, and the business plan, but they never take action, you know?
Yeah, I've seen that happen.
So that's another thing that I kind of help steer away from, you know.
Sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of, even just like, I can relate this kind of to working out, or even this podcast. Like sometimes you can almost prepare too much that you're just stuck perpetually preparing, and it's sometimes just better at times, not always, at times though, to just dive in head first, because at least you're going forward and you're doing something.
Yeah, for example, because I I did listen to a couple of your shows. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, for example, imagine if you wouldn't have started this until you figure out because I know at the beginning you were like, oh, it's a spin-off show, but maybe I'll come up with a different name and whatever, Imagine if you waited until you actually had a proper title to start it,
Right.
Like, no. And the thing is that while you do it, it makes you kind of sort of realize, hey, it's either fine to keep it, or it gives you an idea of like, oh, this is what we should call it. But it's the doing it that's really the magic,
It is. It's all about, like, I call it, so even relating back to the client you were talking about that had, issues public speaking and saying she needed to get a diploma. For me, I always say it's all about just getting in the reps. So getting in repetition over and over and over. Like, that's the easiest, like, rather than being in a classroom or getting advice from other people. Yeah, that helps. But you're going to learn the most just going in, doing it, failing, and figuring it out as you're going along as well.
Yeah. But so the main thing now is that since my business was always digital, and I just have that sort of brain where I kind of see it as puzzle pieces, and for me, it's one of those things that I guess like it's just been kind of like innate with with who I am. I just sort of, it's easy for me to kind of put the puzzle together, and I have done that through like all of my businesses, because this is like my third one, I would say. Well, second business, and the first one was a nonprofit, so I don't know what to call it.
A nonprofit.
Sure. but you still have to kind of build the same skills,
Right. There's still business building within a nonprofit.
Yeah. And I was like 15 when I started that. So that was like in high school and whatever.
Oh, this was before you walked through the class. Okay. I just want to make sure we got a time.
Hold on. No, this was after the fire, because that was 13. And then the glass was 18.
18, yeah. So I was correct.
Yeah. So
I listen.
So since it's all digital from the beginning, that the business that I have now, I can very easily see whatever business someone has that used to be very physical. I can help them. Okay, so let's work on either your branding or your website or your sales funnel or your program or your whatever it is that you need, so that you can start making money, hopefully, like as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What got you into this? Why do this?
Well, okay, so now we're getting personal.
I mean, we gotta. I don't want to do this to just be a surface level podcast. I want to know all the deepest, darkest secrets. I mean, we got to the glass and the fire, so I'm wondering what else will come out of this. So this is a very general question. We'll see what you say, what you answer with.
So here's the deal. So I'm a firstborn. So my mom, she studied to be a biologist and a medical, like a doctor, like a pre-med sort of thing, but it was supposed to be for being a doctor. And she got married, she had me, and she basically had to give up her career to be a mom, or she, I guess, made that choice, but in her mind, and it's the truth, sadly, like for what she was trying to do, she had to make that choice. And so I started this mainly because I want, first of all, for that not to happen to me, mm-hmm. And second of all, to help that not to happen to anybody else, including men. Because like that's also, like, I think it's very important to feel like you're a very, very good family person, let it be husband, dad or mom or whatever, and also be top of your game in whatever career you do without feeling like you're giving up on one or the other, and so that's why I started Seven. It's still like I run it from my house. I'm always going to run it from my house. I don't have kids right now. I'm not even pregnant, nothing. But the business model that I wanted to create and now I want to teach is a model that, like, I mean, we went to our honeymoon and I was still technically sort of like making money and working in a way, but from a bungalow, like, and nothing stopped me, like it wasn't anything that I had to choose. Do I take the vacation or do I, so that's really my mission. I don't want, again, my mom has never blamed me, but just because I'm the firstborn, like I just always kind of felt a little bit like, oh, like I just, so I just don't want that to happen to anybody else.
And in 7 Digital, do you have anyone else that you're working with? Is it just a one woman shop? How does that?
Oh, no. Right now we have like 10 people.
Okay, and they all, everyone's remote. It's all digital,
all over the world. We have people in Australia, and obviously in Venezuela is the majority of them. Colombia, Chile, Argentina.
Whoa.
Mexico.
Do you guys have a lot of Latin American customers then? Because since these people are down.
No, we focus on the American target market, but so part of my mission also, like I'm all like, if I could do a nonprofit forever, that's what I would have done, but like we need to eat, right? So yeah,
right.
So I purposely do that because I also want to sort of level the playing field in a little way. Like I see 7 as a little bit of a bridge that brings opportunities to people that basically I can pay very well, but still make a margin and have like the top talent also. And that's why I focus on countries that are not as expensive so that I can basically pay well, but for me it's not that crazy expensive,
Right. It's well for over there, but still good enough for you, so you can still, because you're in business, it's not a charity, so you still, everyone has to make a buck. You had mentioned something interesting that I wanted to circle back on though, and you had said that oftentimes you've noticed that women don't realize the skills they have or something along those lines, and I just wanted to jump into that. Why is that in your opinion?
That is a mystery. I count myself in that. I don't know if it's really a gender thing, a societal thing, everything.
Well, let me interject real quick, because when we were texting back and forth, you immediately were like, I've been listening to this one show with you, and I don't think I can talk like that.
Exactly. So, see what I mean?
So you immediately downplayed yourself, and I'll say right now we're 40 minutes in, and there's been no awkward breaks or anything. So I think you're doing just fine.
But again, like I really you make everybody feel super chill and calm, and so that takes skill. But
does it though?
I mean, I don't know. I've had some awkward conversations where like I have had to be the one to kind of like keep it going and kind of
I'll pat myself on the back. It is a skill.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's sort of, how do I put this? When you're a woman, if you sound too confident, what you get from the world, right? Like in the majority of this, like obviously you have exceptions. Yes, So it teaches you to just by default, you get a better response, downplaying, and then basically waiting for people to acknowledge, oh no, you're good, except for, or instead of saying, oh yeah, I got this, which is such a, I don't know, like in a man, it's sort of like
it's the opposite. If you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, you're looked at like you have no confidence. It's bad.
But it's actually, and it's super like attractive, and it's super like everything when the man is super confident. But for whatever reason, and this comes from both men and women, from the like just their reaction. If you're too confident, then you just don't, you get a negative response, right? And even when you, like, I have only one sister, so I can't compare, how like it would be my parents raising a son or something. But I remember just between my cousins and whatever, like my cousins, the men, because in English it's kind of hard. But anyway, so the male cousins, right? They would just get all sorts of dirty. Like we were all playing the same game, right? And they would just get all sorts of dirty and all sorts of whatever, and nobody would say anything, right? But we, the women, would be playing exactly the same game, and we would get dirty and we would get in trouble,
Sure, right.
And it's just little things like that, that subconsciously sort of like, and you said it, like even I do it, and I didn't, like, honestly, I didn't do it on purpose. Like it's not planned, right? But it's this little chip that you have that if you don't, like, you feel like maybe you're not good enough to try something. And sometimes you do need someone to remind you, hey, yes, you are, and just do it, and it's fine, and you'll be fine, kind of like what you did, when I was saying that, like, I got you, don't worry, all this sort of stuff. So it's just how it is. I don't know.
Do you find that when you're getting into, and you had touched on this, but do you find when you're helping people with your company and help grow their business that you have to a lot of times do the coaching as well and reassure them that they're good at their skills?
So I've kind of always have done that in the agency side, and that's part of why my clients, I guess, are like they have liked the service, but. And that's part of the reason also why I wanted to do 7, because like when I started 7, I was actually going to start another business, right? That was still like with the mission of like the thing that I said with my mom, but it wasn't going to be an agency. And I couldn't find anybody that would do like the logo or whatever things that I needed for that business that would actually really listen, they were just kind of there to sell me something, but they didn't really take the time to either explain to me as a business owner, like, why do I need a website, and why do I need SEO, and what is SEO, and how does it actually work, and all these different things, that yeah, like if you don't know what it is, then obviously as a business owner, you can't really make the right decisions, and you just kind of sometimes buy it because someone told you to,
Right.
So I basically have taken the skills from really getting to know the person and really kind of like, because I have gotten this, like, really, kid you not, oh, I hear that I need SEO, and so I'm like, okay, great. So first let's work on your website and all sorts of stuff. And they're like, oh, no, I don't want a website. I just want SEO, And I'm like, so for what exactly? Like, what is your, that has happened. So basically now with the coaching, I kind of do the same in the sense of like, I really, in this case, I'm actually really loving it because like I get to really focus on the person, not so much on the project or the company, which is kind of completely different. And yeah, like I just feel like, I don't know, like at the end of the service part of the agency, like we would end up with like this amazing logo, branding, website, whatever it is. But it was still a little bit of a thing, Now that I'm working with people, oh my God, like I use this kind of like same skills and whatever, and I teach them everything I know from the digital side. And they don't even need to use 7 because like that's not the whole point. But even if they use someone else that might be cheaper or whatever, I give them the information so that they can really get the best and what they actually need from that service, so they don't waste money. So, but yeah, like I have kind of like fallen in love with it because I see the transformation within the person, So it's pretty incredible.
Well, let's put you on the spot here, Rebecca. Are you ready?
Sure.
So I'm looking around. I have, let's say it's my podcast, for instance.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out, how to grow this digitally. What makes your service? What makes your experiences? What makes Seven the business that people should at least consider?
The biggest difference is just that, like so I come from a business background, right? So my background is in project management and product management for very big corporate companies, right?
Okay. Yep.
So I, in a sort of like serendipity, sort of luck sort of situation, I run an agency without being a designer or without being a techie person, right? Which at the beginning, believe me, this was super hard, because I was, running something that even I was trying to figure out,
And most agencies are built around their, the software that they can help you with, or the design that they can implement for you.
Yeah, so that's the biggest difference. I look at the business first, instead of like, okay, so I'm a graphic designer, so obviously I'm going to steer you towards, you need branding, you need a logo, you need whatever I can sell you, whatever I do, or the techie person, hey, you need this program, this software, this whatever thing, I actually, even with the agency, everybody that works with me, they are the experts, but I can tap into each of those services, but it's not like that's all I do, or that is kind of like, so it allows me to really look at it the same way that I did for, so I used to work for Hoover, Dirt Devil, L'Oreal.
The vacuum?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Estee Lauder, L'Oreal, so
big brands. Yeah. You worked for brands. Yeah.
So I kind of like my sort of superpower is that I know how it should look like, like the quality side, so I know how to like either recognize the talent, of the people that I have now, or steer it towards like, hey, this isn't good enough. Like we need to bring it to this level, because before in those other roles, and I definitely took it all for granted, like I had departments that would do those things and they would bring it to me all perfect, or with like things that would be like more like, I prefer this, but it was never bad,
Right. And most people don't have the luxury of multiple departments being able to do that work for them.
No. So that's kind of the biggest thing. I look at the business first, like what makes sense, what will actually bring the best sort of return on investment. And then I find or have, the best talent for it. But I'm not pushing anything on you, like there's no agenda. It's just basically whatever makes the most sense for your business. And that's the other thing, because I was in the spot of like not knowing what this stuff was, I also can explain it, I feel, way better than the techie or the design. I can even explain it, because that's the other thing. Most people don't explain it, because they feel like the business owner doesn't need to know. But since I have been in both worlds, I kind of know this is important for you to know. This is fine. This you don't need to know, but this is actually huge for you to know, for you to make your business decision, and that's
what would you say is, without giving too much away, because I don't want you to have to, or I don't want to give away information for free. But what is one common thing that you would give advice for that most people don't know about when they're trying to grow their business digitally?
So, especially with an agency, most people don't ask the business owner what is their niche. They just kind of start doing a logo, They just kind of like, sure, like what do you need and the industry and whatever, but they don't help the business owner narrow down like sort of like, okay, so who do you actually want to attract? And for me, with the product management background, that is huge. You don't launch anything before knowing what we call like the persona or the avatar. You really have to know them very, very well, and if you don't, you basically are shooting in the dark. You might have a beautiful logo that will attract the wrong people, and that's the other thing that is also kind of contradicting, and it's kind of most business owners don't even know that you do have to have at least like some sort of niche, they're a little bit afraid of like, oh no, I don't want to sort of turn away other clients, and you don't have to. Like, for example, for me, my target is women, but I work with men as well. But everything that I do, the colors, the everything, like all of my business decisions, are steered for that specific situation,
There's a lot of you on your website, so I can see how you're marketed towards women a little more.
Yeah. And if you see my Instagram, most of the images have like down to like, if it's hands, most of it is like a feminine hand, but it's still a blue color, but it's blue, like Tiffany color, yeah,
I see it.
So it's little things, but like you won't see me, and it's not bad. Some people are fine to do this, but I don't say 7 digital like for women, on my coaching, I am, I think I do mention something on that, but it's kind of like just because I like kind of empowering women, but for the agency, like that's the thing, you don't have to block off other clients, just sort of be attractive to whomever you want to attract,
Right.
Yeah, that's I think the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think people are afraid of, if they're getting too niche, that they're, they want to sell as much as possible, or they want to be as, have as much exposure as possible, and they're afraid if they're too niche that they turn off more people than they actually turn on.
Exactly. But
business.
here's the thing. So if I were to tell you, oh, I'm a digital marketing agency, and that's all I say. Right. And that's and I sell to businesses, it's going to be a bit hard for you to know who to recommend me to, or like who to tell, like, hey, you need to actually go to Rebeca for this and this, whatever. If I actually now, right, I told you, so I empower women, I do this, whatever. So whenever you have someone that is my target market, like it's just more likely for you to kind of be like, remember me, to kind of like,
you're right.
Oh yeah, you need to go there. So the best example that I got when I was learning this is, most people might say, I don't know, I'm a couples counselor, right? That's kind of like very vague, very
broad, yes.
But if you actually say, I help prevent couples from divorce, then all of a sudden your brain starts kind of like, either I might be on the bridge of divorce, or someone might be, like that so it just kind of paints a better picture, and kid you not, you actually end up selling way more, So yeah,
that makes sense. I could see how that would work out. Now another question to put you on the spot, because I know you did this. You looked at my website. You got any thoughts? Any criticisms?
Well, I have to look at it again, because I was actually just looking at it for the for the thing.
You look at our logo.
So hold on. Let me go there again,
because I know my audience is pretty familiar now with our logo and our website. So I'm curious that we've never had a digital marketer, agency person involved on the show. So I'd be curious to see what you thought. The good, the bad, whatever you want to say.
Well, so first of all, so I have just your podcast thing. So I would like to actually see your website.
Jockandnerd.com. Oh, she's typing it in. This is like legit live.
Yeah, because like I just looked at your podcast. So I remember the only thing I remembered was that it was it's a little bit busy. You know,
it is busy. Yes.
Also the colors. So you have a lot of red and yellow. And just with the symbolism of colors, red and yellow tend to be more for food.
Ooh, didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And
McDonald's.
And it's not for random, like, oh, people assign that to food. No, because they actually make you hungry. They do. So...
Imran, are you listening to this? He's my co-host. You better redesign everything.
But yeah, the main thing is that when you go to a website and it's too busy, it's kind of like and by the way, I do a lot of analogies. So it's kind of like standing in front of the cereal aisle and not having your favorite cereal. You know, you just like have to actually make a choice for the first time. It's overwhelming to the point that sometimes you might not even get cereal because it's like, I don't even know, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of like that. If
That's how I feel about TikTok, by the way, just for what it's worth.
No, believe me, I agree with you.
I go on TikTok and I think about uploading a video. I'm like, there's way too many options on here. I don't want to do anything.
Too many. So you might, like, maybe obviously your diehard fans, you know, that might also have maybe seen the progression of it, might not be turned off. But if you have just the brand new person, they might be sort of like, oh, I don't know, what do they do? Like what is it about? You know? Yeah. So I would
interesting.
I would kind of like simplify it in the sense of the first, like the homepage, the first part, the above, you know, to just kind of like to go straight to what you guys are about, and then obviously like everything else is I like it, but just sort of for the newer person, you know, the person that didn't get to you because it was recommended, you know,
right. That's a different audience than the person that's recommended for sure. Imran, he's a graphic designer.
Oh, okay.
You're fired, dude. You're gonna have to do something else.
No. No. But no, overall it's very good. It's just it's a little bit busy and maybe the wrong color scheme. If we were a podcast about food, maybe we would have it right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you been on a podcast, by the way, ever? No, this is my first time. This is why I was a little nervous, because like normally I'm invited to like an expert panel or some sort of seminar or some sort of like Q&A, you know,
right,
where it's super like, I don't know, I just sit there and share my knowledge and it's fine, you know.
Well, and it's different because again, you're talking to me, but you don't even know like you can't judge my reactions off of like facial or physical characteristics. So you're just kind of talking to a computer right now and hearing a voice.
We talked about that fear. You know, for me, this was kind of like, it's still like, it's good that I know that, like, you know, because we've talked about before, I know that you're like a person and whatever, but like I haven't seen you, I haven't met you, I haven't nothing, you know, like,
right.
So.
Well, my face is on my website, by the way. It's the guy without the beard.
I figured. So you know. No. I saw your but yeah, like it's just a little bit different. Because I also thought, oh my God, like I don't know, how am I like what if I run out of things to say? You know, like I don't know. Because most people, like, again, it's kind of like they ask me questions, I answer them. You know, it's not like tell me about your life sort of thing. You know,
it's not a back and forth conversation per se. It's more them looking to get information out of you.
Yeah, but that's what I say. Just kind of like jump on it and do it and practice it and don't turn down whatever opportunity just because it might be a little bit intimidating. Because believe me, seriously, like now I feel so like, and again, I don't know what the next podcast, if they're going to be as awesome as you, but like, I feel so like, this is like talking to a friend, you know, it's not like, I don't know, it's not as scary as it was in my mind, like at 7:29, you know?
It's funny, like that you say this, because I mostly because you told me, but I could kind of feel like the hesitation in your voice when we first started talking, and like first, even we're texting, I could just feel like she's a little like not nervous, just hesitant to like, this is something new.
Yeah.
And that's natural for everybody. Like you dump into something new, especially with someone you don't know.
Yeah.
Like new thing with someone you don't know. Of course you're going to be like a little hesitant, but I think you're doing just fine so far. And,
Thank you.
You'd be good on any, I don't know if any other podcasts though will be as chill as this. There might be, I don't know. There's a shit ton of podcasts out there for what it's worth.
They should take classes then.
We didn't, for what it's worth, we never took classes when we started this.
Mean?
We just,
no. Well, you should teach people because like, really, no, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's you see it on TV, honestly. Like that's the level, right? Where it seems like, I don't know, it's the most natural thing, you know, and it is, but like I have also seen it be awful, you know.
Right. Well, the difference between podcasts and TV, like TV, you have to be like on, and you have to be ready to get your point out like within 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Like it's a short thing. Like there's segments, right? You don't see a ton of long interviews. And even if you do see interviews on TV, they're cut or they're like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then, or there's a commercial break. Whereas what I enjoy about podcasts, especially the type of show I've created here, is that we can just have a long form conversation. And I feel like this is a lot more natural than if I were like me and you were on TV and I was just interviewing like, okay, tell me the best thing about Seven. Why should people pick you?
Yeah.
What are the key skills you have that can help people? You know, it would just be like bam, 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 bam. And I don't feel like, you know, you might get your message out, but I don't feel like people actually get to know you that way. Whereas in this format, I think people will have a better understanding of where you came from, why you're good at what you do, the fact that you walk through fire and you're not afraid. Like, this is all awesome stuff.
Yeah. No, and now, believe me, because like with the whole quarantine and everything, oh my God, people need good quality podcasts. Like, there's no tomorrow, you know?
Well, that actually kind of ties into what I was going to ask you, you know, with people being quarantined right now, and we kind of touched on it, but why is this, you know, a great time to kind of think about investing in yourself? I mean, that's basically what it is when you're investing in an agency like yours, is you're investing in yourself, right?
Like the biggest thing for me is just use this time to basically improve either your skill, yourself, or your business, so that when this wave ends, because it is going to end, you know, you are ready to go. You know, there's no sort of like, oh, now what do I do? Oh, now that it's starting to back up, let me start looking for a job. I'm not saying not to do that, because like, you know, you can have a job and have a business for a while, however long you need it. But the biggest thing is just not to waste this time, you know? And I feel like it also helps. It has helped me tremendously in the sense of, again, I work every day, you know? So for me, it's not sort of, I obviously miss people. I miss just little things, but it's not as bad as what I hear from my friends, where they're just kind of like, I'm done with Netflix. Like, I can't do this, you know? Like, what am I going to do? If you have something productive and that actually, hopefully you're excited about, this time will not be kind of torture, you know? Absolutely.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, especially if you are in a situation where you lost your job or something, if your mind is actually like, you know, okay, I'm going to take this step and this other step and whatever, like it won't, allow it, hopefully, or at least it's less likely to go into, sadly, like a little bit of the depression phase, of like, oh, why did this happen to me? And what am I gonna do? And oh my God. And like, if you're, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is me, but like when there's everything I can't control, I kind of start cleaning, like, cause it's the one thing, it's just the
one thing you can control. Yeah.
Yes. And so then after I clean, for whatever reason, then I get other ideas or other things, cause like my brain was just kind of focused on sort of progress, like, oh, now, but if you don't do anything and you watch, let's say, forever Netflix, and forever, then at the end, you're going to just feel sad about yourself and
well, I think cleaning, for what it's worth, just thinking being armchair psychiatrist or whatever the type of doctor you need to be, I think cleaning helps in that you're focused on your task, right? Like you're doing something productive, yet you're focused on in that moment doing that task, right? So there's nothing really getting in your brain. So it actually kind of gives your brain some time to just relax and not think, so that like by the time you're done cleaning, you've accomplished something. Number one, you've cleaned, which, everyone likes a clean place. So that's good. But then you've also given your brain time to just chill for a little bit, so that when you're done cleaning, you've accomplished something and your brain is back to like firing, like, okay, what else can we accomplish?
Exactly. That's the biggest thing for me. I want people to not fall into the sort of victim mentality and just know like, hey, you got this, it's this is your time to shine, this is actually could be the best thing that ever happened to you,
Right.
And that's why I also don't watch the news, because like if I watch the news, I wouldn't have this sort of mentality.
I am concerned. I would say that I think people need to be, doing things like you're doing, investing in their businesses or doing productive things, because if you're not, you're just sitting there and your mental health might be deteriorating.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, again, even if like the biggest thing for me is that you will learn a certain skill that you never know when it's going to be like, even if it's for another job, even if you decide at the end, I don't want to actually do the business, whatever, you're going to come out of this with a plus, with something extra added, right. And that's all that I feel like if people focus on that and don't panic, everything will be better. The economy will pick up faster, especially hopefully if people can make money while this whole thing, is happening. So again, I come from Venezuela, right? So I don't know if you heard, there's quote unquote socialism, but not, it's just a dictatorship and all sorts of awful things, economic wise. So I have, the last time that I went, and that's why I decided not to go back. It was the first time that I saw like just real people going through trash and eating straight from the trash, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just kind of traumatic for me. And so I have seen what the sort of the destruction of an economy could do. Now, I hope, and I kind of know, and all sorts of stuff that hopefully that won't happen here in the U.S. I'm not going to that, but I'm just saying the main thing that hurt me, because I love my country, is that a lot of the people there kind of turned off the switch of production, They became victims, and sadly, again, with the government, like they were sort of now used to being given certain things, instead of them figuring out, okay, so how am I gonna do things, I don't want that for anything, but especially,
Right.
especially here, I just want people to continue either progressing on their skills or producing, hopefully, with a business, or not fall into that mentality, because it's super hard to get out of it, once everything gets back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a, not just for business, but just in general, this is kind of a pivotal time for business, for people in general. So it'll be interesting to see what people do with this time, and how everything kind of, as you said, it will get back to, this will pass in terms of the pandemic, but how will the world change? How will business change? How will people change coming out of this is yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, I'm excited to see what people will create, out of this. Because that's the beauty of it. If you have the time, that's something else. If you have a business that is or was super successful, you tend to not have the time to focus on your branding or do the website, or it's just kind of like you just trying to keep up, Right. And for those businesses, especially, like, I mean, now is the time, because it's not like every other, like, it's not like anything else where you just never know what's going to happen, in the sense that this is a virus. This is going to actually last for 3 to 4 months, And then the economic part, yes, we don't know. But that's the part that we can kind of control if we just kind of start working, and start doing, and or at least help, so that it's less than.
I am excited to see what, the most creative minds, and being creative doesn't mean, art and music and all that stuff. Like, creativity can be in business. I am excited to see, what comes out of this, because there will be a lot of innovation, I think, that comes out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that and babies.
That and there will be definitely a baby boom, because there's not a ton to do right now. So
yeah,
I do want to give you a chance. I always end these podcasts by kind of just letting the guest plug whatever they want to plug. And I know we've been talking about 7 Digital, so that's obvious, but the floor is yours, Rebecca, in terms of whatever you want to plug, whatever message you want to get out there to kind of wrap things up.
Sure. The biggest thing is just right now I am giving free 30 to 45 minute coaching one-on-one. And the booking page should be on the thing that I sent you, but it's also it's very simple. It's 7 Digital with a C as in car.
C instead of S. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So 7digital.setmore.com. And there you can actually book your one-on-one, or also I started doing every Friday at 3. I have a free group Q&A. So the one-on-one is mainly for the people that have a project, or they kind of already have some sort of direction. The Q&A is for just, hey, I don't even know like where to start, because I feel like with a group, if you're at that stage, you can also do the one-on-one straight. It's fine. Like I'm here to help, but I feel like it's more beneficial to do the group if you're at that point, because then even just listening to other people's questions sometimes is helpful. It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, those are the that's the main thing, just to kind of book the free session, and then I'll guide them from there. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be able to help anybody that wants to start a digital business.
Perfect. Yeah. And if anyone is curious, if they look at their podcast app and are listening to this, if you just click on like more info, you'll be able to see this entire description, her entire biography, and where you can book this appointment. You also can go to jockandher.com, and the website will be linked to there as well. So I'm hoping that people make the most of this time, Rebecca, and sounds like you're ready and willing to help. So I appreciate you jumping on here.
Even if I don't sell anything, honestly, like my biggest thing is is just to kind of help this economy, and help people just shift that mentality from negativity to possibility,
That's good. I like that. Negativity to possibility.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Well, again, Rebecca, thanks for jumping on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see. Now you set the bar.
Hopefully, whoever, if you're on another podcast, hopefully they're as good as me. They probably won't be. I'll just say that right up front. But they can always have goals and strive to be like me. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.